Welcome, everyone. Coming along to a new Tune Under podcast episode, the Southern Hemisphere's only dedicated Newcastle United podcast. And today I am welcoming Craig along from up in Cairns. How are you going, Craig?
I'm great, mate. Yourself?
I'm doing really good. Yeah, thank you. It's been another long day of trying to concentrate at work, and wins just keep on coming. Celebrating another victory, another home win for Eddie Howe. So another good podcast ahead, hopefully. We may have a third party joining us who is running a bit late at another engagement. So if they pop up halfway through, we'll say hello to them when they get here. So anyway, first, without sort of wasting any more time into this, this is another win on the bounce. So this is 6 wins on the bounce for Eddie Howe. Fantastic to see. First time that we've actually managed this achievement since 2004 under Sir Bobby Robson. That's pretty staggering. That's like 18 years without actually doing this. And you know, Eddie Howe, credit to him, he's turned St James's Park into a fortress. Teams are not looking forward to coming here. The atmosphere's through the roof. And it's worth bearing in mind that when Sir Bobby Robson did that, the players that he had available were pretty top-notch. I mean, we had Shearer and Bellamy and Robert and, you know, Solano. We had some very, very good players. And they were chasing a Champions League position to get that 6 wins in a row. This isn't a team that was like fighting off a relegation battle. So huge result for that. This is also the 9th win within 2022 for the team. So put that in perspective. That's one more victory than we managed in the entirety of 2021. It kind of really does put things into perspective about just how good a job that Eddie Howe has done. So before we actually go into any of the kind of match analysis, let us know your thoughts on that, Craig.
It is baffling, isn't it, when you think about it? Because we were dead and buried. We should have been playing championship football next season. We should have been playing stadiums we've never been to before. And it should have been a case of, let's try and find an illegal stream so we can watch it here in Australia. There's not real much championship coverage. But since the turn of the year, since the transfer window opened, it's just been a breath of fresh air. There's one win in 20 to getting 10 in 33. It is staggering. It's mind-blowing. I still can't comprehend the turnaround that Eddie and the boys have done. If he doesn't get nominated for manager of the season, then what else has he got to do so?
Yeah. It's been an insane turnaround. I think it's interesting that you were pointing out about like sort of finding the dodgy streams for the match, because we literally had been talking amongst all of the guys from the podcast saying, what are we going to do if we go down? Because we're not going to be able to watch the game, so we can't do the full reviews. We're going to really struggle to keep things going, and how do we manage it? So, you know, that's how much like we thought we were in deep trouble, and to pull it around to not only be, I mean, the whole thing is nobody's ever escaped the relegation fight after losing 14 games or whatever it was on the bat, or not winning for 14 games. Sorry, we were rock bottom when Eddie Howe took over, and you know we were like, you know, even the most optimistic Newcastle fan thought we were down, and we're now literally sitting here going, well, it's not like he's just sort of turned things around a little bit. We spent a bit of money, and we've kind of just scraped survival on the last day of the season. And you know, again, I've been panicking most of the season about going to Burnley and needing a result on the last day of the season, and so now suddenly we find ourselves in 11th spot in the league, 40 points. The magical 40 points. You know, I think that's pretty much us all but safe. Not mathematically, but, you know, it's hard to see anybody catching that number for us to go down. And suddenly we're looking at like, well, hang on, can we scrape a top half finish here? It's like, this is insane. So, yeah, absolutely fantastic. I think the difference in some of the key players, it's not just the players that have been brought in. It's actually been the turnaround in some of the players that have been here for a few seasons now. The likes of John Joe Shelvey has been absolutely fantastic. And I watched him today, and the difference in his attitude to tracking back and closing people down and working hard both ways, it's like, we've never seen that before of him.
No.
He's always been lazy. That's been one of my major flaws with him, was as always his attitude in the game, and where he goes in and out and he doesn't try hard. And he's changed all of that. Joe Linton's a different player since he's moved back into midfield. We've got Miggy Almiron, which we'll get to in a minute, but he seems to be, every single player is working so hard for that shirt at the moment and to be a part of whatever comes in the future. What's your biggest surprise in terms of the playing staff?
Joe Linton is the big one. Nobody anticipated the turnaround in the player, and especially the position we playing as well. Because if anything, he would have been maybe stuck out wide, like Steve Bruce may have done, or put him up front with Wilson to try and complement. But that never worked, or if it did, it worked very rarely. And one of the pivotal points of the season, I would say, has to be Kieran Clark's red card, because it was that game at that moment which forced Eddie to make a change of putting Joe Linton into the centre of midfield. And since then, he's never looked back. And the transformation is night and day. Let's say it's black and white, It's absolutely fantastic. And I don't know anyone that's got a bad word to say about Joe Linton. His work ethic, his love of the club, his celebration against Brentford when he scored that goal, when he ran to the fans. To me, that just speaks volumes of how much he loves us, and we're just showing it in return, just because of the faith he's put in Eddie Howe and vice versa,
Oh, definitely, yeah. And I don't think anything sums up the overall feeling within the team, from the players, the coaches, and the owners, than the latest in a long-standing stream of team photos after the match. So here it is for those watching on YouTube. Apologies for those listening on one of the audio podcasts, but this photo, everybody is there. The new owners are there, the chairman's there, the coaches are there, everybody's celebrating. Kieran Trippier's got a wry little smirk on his face about how good this is. It's just fantastic to see. And, I think that sums up the team spirit, which has got us a long way. And there's things that we can discuss maybe about, how does that carry over into next season if we do go out and spend some more money and replace some of these players. We need to keep that team spirit together. But I've seen people, Nick Harris was on social media today trying to belittle the fact that they've taken a picture again and checks notes. Oh, they've finished, they're finishing in an 11th spot. It's like, well, who cares? We've won a game. We thought we were down and dusted. It's like, we thought it was over. But this photo for me just sums everything up. I don't know about you, but I just think that's fantastic to see every game.
Oh, yeah, I love it. I mean, when we beat Leicester with that last-minute goal from Bruno, and I think everybody, myself included, who wasn't on a local time to watch the match, stayed up to see the team photo. It's becoming almost a tradition now. And we've just got Serena and the club to thank for that. And we know the backstory behind that as well, thanks to Serena. And it is something that is just going to continue on. And there'll be a point where they won't do a team photo when they've won. And social media are going to meltdown, go, come on, where's the team photo? We want to see it. And because, well, we've won again, we've won 10 games on the belt. If we ever get to the stage like Liverpool or City of, we're getting a bit sick of taking these photos. But long may it continue. I love seeing the passion, the enthusiasm on the players' faces. And it's not just the immediate team as well. If you look at that photo, you've got Gillespie right at the back. He's never going to get a Premier League game in a month of Sundays. And he's there. I mean, I know he's a local lad, so he's going to be pleased for the club regardless. But it's those players who aren't going to get a game, aren't going to get a look in or anything like that. They're all part of this. It's an entire squad that's there. And Mandy front and centre in our heels. They had even a kick about on the pitch after the game.
Kick about on the pitch afterwards.
Yeah. And that would have been just absolutely batter if I had seen Jamie Rubin just curl one in the top bins at the Gallagher end or something like that, that'd be awesome. But yeah, that photo, long may it continue. I think it's superb. And if it pisses other teams off, so be it. Do it even more.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it was funny watch. I mean, let's be fair. If we owned a football club, we'd be probably having a kickabout on the pitch as well. So I
Yeah.
can't fault the owners for that. But I said on our group chat today that I'm wary a little bit about the new owners because we've been here before. I remember being in the away end at Arsenal under Keegan when Ashley had just first taken over, and everyone's singing Ashley's name, and he's out buying pints for people on the big market after the games and stuff like that. And everything was roses until he then just took a massive dump on the club history, sort of backstabbed Keegan, and the rest was history, so to speak. But you just kind of feel that the owners, they make mistakes, and I think it's for us as fans to kind of really take that as a learning curve for them, knowing that they understand the club, they understand the fans, they seem to care about the fans and the history of the club. And if they make mistakes, it's not out of spite, it's not out of arrogance, it's out of a learning curve, and that they want to try and then put things right. So I just want the fans to be really gentle about any sort of mistakes that do happen. Don't jump straight on them, because they clearly do love the club and they love how things are going, and they clearly want us to get better as well. So right then, so enough about the off-pitch shenanigans. Let's get on to the on-pitch ones. So we'll have a quick run through the team sheets first off. So Newcastle starting 11 had Martin Dubravka in goal, Emil Kraft, Shah, Byrne, Target as our back four, John J. Shelby, Bruno and Joe Linton in midfield, and then Miggy, Saint-Maximin and Chris Wood up top. Same team against Leicester. Don't have any complaints about that. I think they deserved it. You have anything?
Nah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah. My only concern is we have now got Norwich coming up very shortly. I think that's going to be 3 games in 11 days or something, or 7 days or something stupid like that. That's going to take its toll, especially when we're playing such high tempo football. So I wouldn't be surprised, but we'll get on to the Norwich preview just at the end. But it wouldn't surprise me to see a little bit of rotation. Interesting that we've got Richie on the bench still. We've got some characters there in the dressing room that are still in and around the squad, even if they're not actually playing any games for us, which is actually quite good to see. Moving on to Palace, Guaita in goal, Klein, Guehi. I feel like Lee should be here for saying some of these names. Anderson, Mitchell, Kuyate, Schlupp, Gallagher, Olise, Edouard, and Zaha. Now, to me, I don't watch a lot of Crystal Palace football. The one thing I will say is Zaha is their Saint-Maximin. He's their talisman. I feel he can be hit and miss in games. I don't feel he's consistent enough to be hyped up maybe as much as he is. I don't know who you let us know what you think about the squad, and who you thought before the game we needed to watch out for.
My biggest player on there, and I've ranted about this player when he was, I think it was Norwich last season on loan, Conor Gallagher. I would love us to sign him in the summer. He is one of the players who is destined for good things in the future. Chelsea have got one hell of a player on there if they keep on him. Luckily for us, he had one of his quieter games and he was subbed off after an hour, I think. So that was really pleasing to see. But he, for me, is their standout player. He got his England call up this year at the age of only 22. He scores goals, he creates goals, he can track back. He's a lot more consistent than what Zaha has been from, again, what little I have seen of Palace. And I've only really watched him because of Gallagher, because he's a player that excites me.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think that consistency is key, and that's something that we've kind of been harping on about a lot of our players as well, where you might be capable of that stellar performance 1 in 10 games, but if you don't produce enough in the other games, then you're actually a liability to your team. So yeah, Zaha might produce those highlight reel moments every now and again, but if he's not going to produce it on a consistent basis, then you have to feel someone who is producing not far short of his performances in Conor Gallagher, then he's producing them more often, is a bigger talisman to your team. So yeah, interesting lineups from them. So into the game itself, first half, I thought we actually played pretty well. I don't have a play-by-play like Lee would normally do for his. We decided I wanted to just kind of go through some of the key ideas. We had a few half chances. We had a few kind of like sort of decent build-up moves. Palace never really threatened. We had more possession than we were normally used to without really doing anything super exciting with it, apart from a couple of forays forward. We kind of passed it well a lot around the back. We'd go forward. Well, nothing was there. We passed it back again, tried to retain possession. And I thought that was actually really, really good for the side. One little bit of brilliance then changed everything for us. Then this is that goal, and I want to talk about the celebration as well. So basically, we get a throw in, I think it was, goes over to Bruno, he chests it down. What most people would just do is hoik it forward. He didn't. He played a perfect over the top ball for Miggy to run onto. Miggy at pace, fought off his defender, ran through, headed it down just in front of his path, took it beautifully with his second touch, and then curled an absolute perfect ball right into the top corner. Couldn't have hit it any sweeter if he tried. And then took off into the crowd, shirts off, into the crowd, dives in. And what I loved about that is he was so excited and wanted to celebrate with the fans. But I also saw Saint-Maximin, who ran with him right up until the point of the barrier, and then because like, oh, I'm not allowed to cross that, I'm going to stay back here and wait. And then he was like, oh, well, he's going over. I'm going over as well, and then he dove in as well. So it was really good to see this kind of all-in mentality between everybody in the squad about sort of celebrating that goal. But what an absolute striker and a half it was. Tell us your thoughts about the game.
It was up to that point, we were the team in charge of the game, I think. We had, again, the majority of the possession. We had more shots on target. And if any team was going to go in the break 1-0 up, it was going to be us. And a bit of South American brilliance is unlocked Palace's defence. And it's my goal of the season so far. The pass from Bruno, the control on the chest, and it was his right foot, and just the weight of the pass was inch perfect as well. Miggy's control, as you mentioned, was superb, but the finish, I expect him, if he's going to get a shot, he was going to put it low and try and go around the keeper. But the fact he hit it with such accuracy, hit the underside of the crossbar, I think it was, or the stanchion, and hit the back of the net, and I was just like, fucking get it, yes, going proper Raj. Waking the neighbours up as I normally do when we score a goal, because I think it was what would have been about 5:30 in the morning by the time that goal went in, thereabouts. And I woke the wife up, woke the dog up, who somehow is deaf but can still hear me shout. And it was genuinely fantastic. And the celebrations were on par with Miggy's first ever goal, which was again against Palace, when he got that goal in the 1-0 win. Where you rip your shirt off. I think it was at the Gallagher end that time. This was up at the Leazers. But it just shows how much that goal meant to him. I think it was his first goal in 39 games. And something what Eddie Howe said, was, I think, maybe a week or two ago now, that every player in the squad is being assessed as whether they will be here next season. And Miggy is fighting for his Newcastle career, because so far he's not really done much to warrant a place in the squad next year. And he had a good game against Man United, and we all thought he scored, apart from David De Gea when he made the world-class save at the end of the game. That was his only real contribution to anything worthwhile. But his performance shows why he can be a squad member. And when he's got goals like that in his locker, albeit it isn't very often, unfortunately, it's moments like that that make you love the player. And seeing Miggy smile again is something that everybody wants to see involved with Newcastle United. It was a great moment, and who doesn't love a goal like that as well? It was, again, my goal of the season.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he didn't, I fully thought what he was going to do was just try and leather the ball and hope to beat the keeper and end up skying it into like Rosette or something. And the fact that he literally just sort of opened his body up and intentionally curled it around into the top corner, and it literally has just gone in off the top bar, right in the top corner. No chance for the keeper. Yeah, just absolutely fantastic. Loved every minute of that. So we kind of kept possession for a lot of the rest of the game. We saw the game out pretty well. We were pretty comfortable, and we only really had one more sort of point of concern, that Joe Linton, free header from a target cross, I think it was, from a corner, and seemed to do his best to head it into the ground to get it over the top of the bar rather than actually putting it at goal. Not sure what he was trying to do. It's still the bit that we get so frustrated with Big Joe. He's absolutely fantastic. Jigsaw Joe at it again. As soon as he gets in the box, falls to pieces. It's just very frustrating. I thought he should have done a lot better with that. I mean, it was a pretty easy header. Realistically, there was no defenders around him. There's no pressure on him. Do you think he should have scored that?
I do. If it's anywhere on target and it's not directly at the keeper, it's a goal. He was too close, and there's no way the keeper can react in time. He had to his left. He had probably 2/3 of the goal away him at, which was totally open. And the keeper, he was close to the keeper, but he had all that space in the world. And I think if anything, he had a bit too much time to pick his spot, and he just got a little bit confused what he wanted to do. And again, you're right about the frustration as well, because if you look back at his header against Brentford, that was some header. That was Les Ferdinand quality type header. And then he goes and does that. It wouldn't have pretty much ended the game there and then, but it would have made the second half a lot more comfortable than
a lot more breathing room for us.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, because it got a bit bum twitchy towards the end, as it normally does, but wouldn't be Newcastle if it didn't. But yeah, Jigsaw Joe, we love him, but I just wish he could score a few more goals.
He strikes me as, if he's got no time, he can just do something instinctual and it always comes off. But as soon as he's got time to think about what he's doing, he just loses his shit and goes to pieces. It's like, I don't get why he's so good when it just comes at him suddenly and suddenly sticks a leg out and it's in the back of the net, or a good ball comes through and he's just straight onto it and it's in. But you give him time and space and he just doesn't know what to do with it. So, but anyway, it is what it is. We went into the halftime 1-0 up, feeling pretty confident after the first half. I think was really interesting to see that Crystal Palace did not have a shot on target in the first half. We kept them pretty quiet. We controlled the ball. They had a few forays forward, but we defended really well. And we forced a couple of changes. I think one of their forwards got subbed out. But it was kind of this like, if we could do another half like that, we're going to be pretty good here. Then the second half came off. We just didn't really get back to grips with the game. I think Crystal Palace maybe changed a few things around. They started to get a little bit niggly, and it was interesting to see that Miggy's goal came just after he was having a bit of argy-bargies with Zaha as well. So maybe we need the nice Miggy to take a holiday or something, and nasty Miggy to come out and get fired up before every game, because he obviously focuses him quite well. But yeah, it got a little bit niggly, I thought, in the second half. We didn't control the ball well. We lost possession. We started to drop deeper and deeper. While I've seen a few people comment about the ref, and I'll get your opinion on this, I thought he refereed it quite well, but the second half, he started to blow for every little niggly foul on the pitch, which really disrupted the game, I thought. And there were probably fouls, but it stopped Newcastle winning the ball back and controlling possession. It always gifted Palace the ball back and interrupted everything, so Newcastle couldn't get any rhythm going again. Did you feel that, or am I just kind of making stuff up on that one?
I'm kind of with you 50-50 on that one. Any type of contact now, a player is going to go down regardless. And as soon as the ref sees that, unless it's a blatant dive, he's always going to blow for a free kick. It's the contact version of football is slowly dying a death, unfortunately. We all love a good sliding tackle. We all love a good shoulder barge and everything like that, but you just can't do it anymore now. And a prime example of that, it goes back to, I think it was the Wolves game when I think it was Kraft got a cynical yellow card for when the player cut across him. And there's nothing Kraft could have done about it. It was just one of those things. And referees, that they need to man up a bit and just say, look, no, it was a tackle. It was fair. Yes, there was contact. You got the ball, or there was an attempt to make the ball. It's either a free kick or it's not. Get up and play on. And the biggest whinger of the lot, as we know, is Zaha. You know, I thought Allan Saint-Maximin like to have a good whinge at the ref, but Jesus Christ, this man takes the biscuit. Every little thing, and he reminds me of the Spanish players who just literally every time someone gets fouled, they want to come and get the yellow card out or anything like that. And it just stop it. You're ruining the game, and you're making yourself look like a right dick on the pitch as well. And I think that was one of the reasons why his career failed at Man United, because Ryan Giggs kept on putting him in his place and saying, look, mate, your attitude stinks. And that, to me, that his attitude there, the way he's trying to get maybe players booked, win cheap free kicks and everything, it's not right. It's not part of the game. And yeah, fair enough, our players probably do the same as well, but he does it in spades in every game I've ever seen him play.
And if he's as good as everyone's making him out to be, he shouldn't need to. He should be able to beat players just on skill. And if he actually concentrated a lot more on that side of his game, he'd probably be a lot better player and a lot more consistent.
Correct.
So the one thing that I did see was Patrick Vieira is a very good manager. He made changes. He subbed Conor Gallagher off after he sort of scythed Bruno down and got a yellow card. And I think it was getting a little bit niggly at that point, and probably made a good decision to take him off. He wasn't having a particularly good game. He wasn't effective. And I think he was a red card waiting to happen at that point. Brought a couple of fresh legs on around about 60 minutes, I think it was, which really took the game into Palace's favour. The one thing that did disappoint me slightly with Eddie Howe, and I'm scratching around for things that we may have improved on, because it's just like, I don't care, we won. But the one thing was, I thought he was very late in getting some substitutions made, and I think the game was crying out for some fresh legs as we were starting to drop deeper and deeper and lose that possession game. I think we could have done with some fresh legs on, and I think when he finally did bring Murphy on, I think Murphy gave us a little bit more of an outlet and some more running in midfield. Willock as well. So yeah, I think that was my only slight downside, was I thought we maybe could have changed things a slightly sooner. But it's easier said than done when you're kind of in that situation where you've got players going. So Palace kind of then really sort of sat on the edge of our box for a lot of the second half of the second half. We were under the pump. I was twitchy bum time. I was not confident. I fully expected us to get to concede an equalizer. Luckily, we didn't. We managed to see the game out. Saying that about Zaha and his constant complaining, one thing that somebody did note was he was too busy complaining at the ref about throw-ins and wasting time when they were looking for an equalizing goal and running the clock down for us. So I just didn't get that. So if I was his teammates, I would have been having a go at him for that one. What did you think of the rest of that game and how tense it was towards the end of that?
Well, yeah, it was very, very tense towards the end, because looking at Palace's away stats, they've scored, before the game, they'd scored 18 goals away from home in 15 away appearances. So they've averaged more than a goal a game for every away game they played. So I was thinking, just a matter of time before they score. They've got a very good average of scoring. Our away record of scoring goals is terrible. Well, it's getting better, but it's nowhere near as good as theirs. And they've got a habit of nicking draws away. They've got 6 draws away from home this season, and 3 wins. So there's a decent amount of points there for them for the position they're in. And I think it was in the 92nd or 93rd minute, Zaha got the ball on the edge of the box on the left-hand side, and he tries to curl one into the top corner. And I think everybody's heart just stopped for that split second and just waited for the net to bulge, as Dubravka would have been rooted to the spot. But luckily, it went into the back of the Leazes end, and that was pretty much the last action of the game. We tried to play the ball into the corner flag, which, to be honest, doesn't suit our style of play. Because we just kept on giving away stupid free kicks and gifting them back possession, and they were back up on attack again. So maybe we should just continue to attack and just let the back forward do what they need to do. But we're seeing the game out. The result, again, as always, was more important than the performance. And now we are safe, albeit not mathematically, but it's as good as the players can maybe relax a little and maybe expand their style of play.
Yeah, it's a good chance for them just to kind of sort of play a little bit more free and open and just enjoy their football. Maybe they've thrived under the pressure, and maybe we'll see them once we're mathematically safe, where they just sort of go, well, not really sure what we should be busting our gut for, but I have a feeling they're fighting for their places, and I think that is probably one of the major driving forces at the moment. They're all keen to be involved next season, and rightly so. It's exciting times ahead, hopefully. So we'll have a quick check of the stats for the match, though. So after the first half, I'm actually surprised that we finished so low in the possession rankings, because we did actually control the ball quite well in the first half. So to see us so dominated overall, that's a little concerning, and probably shows just how dominant Crystal Palace were in the second half. So we finished sort of shots 13 shots to 10, shots on target 4-2. Pretty even in those numbers by the end of the game, which again shows how dominant Palace were in the second half, given they didn't have a shot on target for the entire first half. They dominated corners. As I said, we almost scored from one of them. We should have scored from one of ours. So as I said, it's not the numbers, it's what you do with them. And dead even on fouls. So what do you make of those numbers? And in particular, those possession stats, because we don't seem to be able to get on top of those possessions.
I'm going to quote Shearer from a few years ago now, when he schoolboyed Jermaine Genius in an FA Cup game. And this was when they were doing some commentary after. I can't remember who was playing now. But Genius was going on about how, I think it was Spurs, because he was an ex-Spurs player, so he was there, going about how Spurs have had X amount of possession, significantly more than the opposition. They deserve to win the game. Then Shearer turns around and says, no, the opposition scored more goals. Goals win you the game, not possession. That's what matters, and that's the important factor there. And I wouldn't care if we had 25% possession and the team had the better game if we come away with the 3 points, because we're at the point of the stage of the season now where, again, it's all about the points rather than the performance. Maybe the next few games it could be the other way around. I don't think Eddie Howe will let the points slip, even if the performances are better. I'd much rather go for the win or the draw than try and play expansive football that we're probably not capable of doing just yet. Maybe not until next season or the season after. So, we don't have players that hold the ball very well. Bruno is a possession type player, but he doesn't have the players around him to help him do so. And we did give away balls very cheaply. One thing I did notice within the last 15, 20 minutes or so, we did resort to a lot of hoofball. Just literally gifting it back to them and absorbing the pressure after time. Whether it's because the back four thought they didn't offer much of a threat going forward, but something we've not really seen from them since Howe came in. They've normally tried to play it out from back rather than just gift it straight back to them. So that would have massively dampened the percentage numbers for possession in our ranks, to be honest.
Yeah, I get that as well. I don't think Howe will be happy with that sort of tactic. Maybe fatigue came into play there as well. I think they sat back possibly because they were a bit tired as well. So yeah, freshening things up for the next game is probably a good idea. I did see another stat where, once again, our number of passes to the oppositions is woefully low, and our pass completion percentage is never very good. And I think moving forward with a more possession-based game that Howe clearly wants to play, we've got to get players that are capable of passing the ball and holding onto it more. And Bruno's just this cut above everyone else, as you said. He's a possession-based player. He's confident on the ball. but he needs players around him who are going to make those moves and be able to beat players and receive those passes and play passes on to the next player all the way. And we've got hard-working players at the moment, but we still need that little bit of injection of quality when it comes to that possession-based game. So yeah, I mean, look, that's what the window's for, I guess. Now we can almost start planning. So let's see what they bring in to help that. Looking at the table, though, that's now looking some nice viewing for Newcastle fans everywhere. Up into 11th, onto 40 points, level with Brighton. Obviously, we have a worse goal difference, but we've kind of given everyone a head start with that at the beginning of the season. But we're looking up the table, and I'm always a little bit skeptical because as soon as we start looking up the table, we inevitably lose a game. We've got this habit of disappointing fans whenever they get a little bit overly excited in recent years. But hopefully, we can keep building on this. And a top half finish is not out of the realms of possibility at the moment. We've got a pretty good winning record. I'm putting the couple of losses that we had completely down to the Manager of the Month award that Howe got. So the curse struck again. But we've now gone above Crystal Palace. We've played a game more than them, but even if they win that, they're still only level on points with us. And we're now, we're 15 points clear of the relegation zone. That's just that I'm still struggling to get my head around this completely. It's just baffling. So yeah, tell us your thoughts on the table and some of the other teams around there, Craig.
Well, at one point we were 5 points adrift, if I remember correctly. We were rock bottom, 5 points adrift, and somehow we've managed a 20-point turnaround. That's never been done before. That is, to me, that's the equivalent of Leicester winning the league. It's something that probably will never be repeated, not for a long time anyway. It's, as I said at the start of this pod, we were dead and buried. There's no way we should be 11th in the table. There's no way we should be on 40 points. We should be hobbling around the legs with Burnley and Everton if we're lucky, to be honest. But yeah, the fact that we are ahead of Southampton, we're ahead of Palace, we're ahead of Villa. Villa had a cracking start under Stevie G. I think he won his first 3 games and everything. And he started the same week as Eddie Howe in terms of his managerial career in the Premier League with Villa. And again, they got off to a flyer. They went off the boil. Patrick Vieira has done a fantastic job. I think he was one of the managers who was maybe first to get the sack, or Palace were one of the favourites to get relegated at the start of the season. I don't know what his managerial experience was beforehand, to be honest, but if this is his first or his second job, he's done a cracking job with, to be honest, a bunch of very average players there, bar the odd one or two in Zaha and Gallagher. Southampton, we've had run-ins with a few Southampton fans this season, especially around the transfer window and players that should or shouldn't be allowed to play. Brentford, their debut season, they're doing fantastic. I had them as favourites to go down, to be honest, but they're doing really well. And Brighton, they're just toddle along as they do. They're getting a bit of form under themselves now. Unlucky to get beat off Man City, but to be honest, most people get a howked all over the park off Man City. And Leicester, ex-previous champions, 4 or 5 years ago, however many years ago it was now, they're just gone massively off the boil. We could finish above them this season.
Yeah, they've really struggled the last few games. I mean, yeah,
okay. Look,
we scored a last-minute winner for our game, and they've scored they've conceded another late one. But realistically, they should. I mean, they were fighting for a European spot. I think that's all but gone, even with their games in hand now.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to catch. We're looking at even Wolves. Yes, they've got a game in hand on them, but even if they win that, they're still going to be 5 points off.
Yeah,
and Wolves, they're playing okay football. The form's mixed, and even Wolves, they're not going to get European football. I wouldn't have thought. That'd be down to the last few slots down to Man United and West Ham. And Leicester, they're in the Europa League conference, which is kind of like the UEFA Cup, but not quite as good because they got knocked out of the original one. Then they went to like a bargain basement version of. I'm not sure how it works now, to be honest. So they won against PSV, so they're into the next round of that. Their only hopes getting into Europe is probably to win the competition.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even then, that's probably going to be a tough ask because there's still probably some decent teams in there. But if I was to say to you, 1st of January, we're going to be sat in 11th place and 1 point behind Leicester in the table, you'd probably get me committed. Ask me to get my head checked, go see a shrink, or ask me how many magic mushrooms I've taken, because it was just beyond belief. And I just can't wrap my head around the turnaround and how the fuck has happened so quick. That's the baffling thing from 1st of January up until now. I know 1st of January seems like a long time ago, but it's just been a blur.
And we've done most of that without Kieran Trippier, and we've done all of it without our leading goal scorer in Callum Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
So you take like the two best, effectively probably your two best players, apart from maybe Bruno, out of your squad. You're relying on ASM to do something magical, and he's been a little bit off the boil of late, and that kind of brings me on to one of the other points, but we'll finish up. That's kind of, we'll finish up the league table bit. Down the bottom, who are your three to go down at this point in time?
I'm going to say Norwich, Watford, and Everton still. Everton have got the Merseyside derby at Anfield.
Yes.
I think Tuesday morning for us, I think it is. Something like that. And Liverpool are just going to absolutely destroy them. I'm going to tear them a new one, as they do with most teams at Anfield. And that's going to knock them for 6, especially if they concede 3, 4, 5 goals, which, to be honest, Everton could do. They're very leaky in defence against teams. And their record at Anfield, like most, to be honest, is absolutely shocking. Burnley, they do have the easier run. They picked up a point at West Ham when, to be honest, they should have won because they missed a penalty. If they had got 3 points there, it would have been a lot closer than what it is. Leeds, they're still not even out of the clear yet, to be honest, but I think they will just squeak out. Norwich, they're gone. I don't see any hope in them. Even if they beat us at the weekend, they don't have a chance, I don't think. Watford, a very, very slim outside chance just because they've got a little bit better in terms of quality. But again, I think it's too little too late for them. 3rd place, it'll be between Everton and Burnley, I think.
Yeah, I can't see the bottom two getting out of it now. I think there's just too much of a gap to make up. If Burnley win and Everton lose, it closes that gap. I think that's going to be right down to the wire. And I think we're all kind of got that eye on the last game of the season. If we hold Everton and Burnley's fate in our hands, that could be quite interesting. So we'll see if we can return some favors maybe.
Yeah, just hope on that last game of the season, the whole of the first team comes down with the shits or something like that. And then he's got to play the under 17s or something like that, It's still a squad, still play them, but it can happen. Middlesbrough had to forfeit the game because all the players had the shits a few years ago. So it's possible.
So before we head on to the Norwich preview, very, very quickly, we had a massive display by War Flags at the match before kickoff. Big gold number 10 in the crowd. Obviously for Saint-Maximin, he's been struggling for form of late. He's been the talk of some sales mumbo jumbo and some sort of like hit and miss fan conversations about whether or not he should stay, what he offers to the team. We had a big flag of him in full flight as well in the crowd. So I wanted to say that was actually a really good thing to see, that this is how you support your team. This is how you support your players. It's like there's no sense in hounding players who are not in form. And Saint-Maximin is that player who, he's an enigma. You don't know what you're going to get off him. But when he's on form, he's unstoppable. If he's not on form, there's not a lot else to his game. And if he's not capable of like peeling past players, we saw runs against Palace where he was He was beating players just on pure pace. He was dribbling past players. He looks like he's trying to pass the ball more to his teammates now, which is one thing that I have always flagged up about him, where he needs to get his head up and get his teammates involved a little bit more, drag defenders out of the way and free space up for his team. And he looks to be doing that. And so whether or not that's something that Eddie Howe's working on, whether or not it's something that he's taken on himself, but it was really good to see that kind of that vocal and that sort of visible backing by the crowd for one of our sort of arguably best players in the squad at the moment, especially with all of the talk of selling him. What have you made of this? Because there's been like a couple of different sort of scenarios around whether or not we should keep him, whether or not he suits Eddie Howe's play style. Eddie Howe's been out and backed him. What's your take on this, and where do you stand on that?
I think we should keep him. He's a player that we can build around along with Bruno. He's still only 25, 26 years old, something like that. He's young. He's still learning his trade effectively. He's yet to hit his peak. And we've got him on contract for another 4 years, something like that. I think he signed an extension year before last, I think. He's a player that can win you the game. He's a player that will frustrate you more than often, but he's just got that sparkle about him. And was it the Burnley? No, it wasn't the Burnley game. I'm trying to remember the game it was where he was ridiculously frustrating for every minute of the game, bar the one he scored. And he won us a game. I can't remember who the opposition was, but we said at half time that he's either going to get subbed really early or the fans are going to turn on him. Then he goes and does a bit of magic and scores. That's what he's capable of doing. And great players do that. And everyone can see he's trying. He's just not getting a rub of the green, whether he's carrying a knock, whether he's fatigued, because he's played a lot of football this season when previous years he's had a few injuries. He's missed a good number of games. He's probably played more games this year already than he has over last year or the year before.
Yeah, he's always knocked the shit as well every game.
Yeah, I think he's the most fouled person in the Premier League, or at least he was. And he does get 7 shades of shit kicked out of him every game. And I love the bloke. I think he's fantastic. He's great for the club. He's got personality. He understands the club. He understands the fans, and the fans understand him. And the return of admiration that the War Flags team showed is just superb. If you look at a stark contrast to the way the Man United fans were treating Paul Pogba, the Liverpool loss, they were swearing at him, they were throwing things, they were spitting at him and everything like that. I would never want to see our fans turn on any player like that. Because as long as they've got the shirt on the back and they're putting in an effort, then fantastic. They might not be world beaters, they might not be going to be around for long, but as long as they're putting in the graft, putting in the effort, that's all we can ask for. And that's what he's doing. He's just not getting the rub of the green.
Yeah. Look, I mean, for me, I think he's that player that's capable of the sublime, infinitely frustrating when it doesn't come off. But, you know, for me, he's worth having around just for his social media activities because he absolutely cracks me up.
He's even got on his Twitter handle, the king of Twitter.
Yeah, no, he's absolutely priceless just for those moments alone. But onto the Norwich preview. So as we said before, we're up to 40 points. Looking like we're pretty much safe. There is talk that if we win against Norwich and other results go our way, that apparently we could be mathematically safe come the end of the weekend, which would be absolutely fantastic. Tick that box. Onto planning for the summer and getting sort of a squad overhaul and seeing what we can do, experiment with a few players in different positions. That would be quite nice. But we've got a game to have, so let's run through what we're going to be seeing. So these are our sort of expected lineups. You're going with pretty much unchanged side.
Yeah, again, just like before, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's won the last 2-3 games with this side, this formation. And Almiron definitely deserves his place in the squad with his goal and his performance against Palace this morning. Joe Linton picks himself, Bruno picks himself, and even Shelby's now picking himself in the squad as well, to be honest. He's deserving of that midfield squad. The back four, that picks itself, and I would never say that about Kraft. 4, 5, 6 weeks ago, me and Lee had a massive rant over him. but literally I'm sitting here with egg on my face because the bloke has been solid. He's been superb. He had a hand in the goal this morning because he's the one that had the throw in to Bruno, I think it was. So
Yeah,
all
he
credit
was.
to Kraft. Dubravka, I wouldn't have anybody else in goal, even if Dubravka was injured. I'd still rather have him there. I don't rate Darlow and Gillespie plays like his eyes are shut. ASM, as we just mentioned, he is crazy frustrating, but he has that moments of genius which can win you the game. And Wood, although he's not getting the service, he is putting in a shift, and he actually put in a great defensive shift today, to be honest, when needed,
Yeah.
when called upon. He tracked back, which was fantastic. So he is a team player. He's just not scoring the goals that we would like him to.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I think Kraft's like the one that we maybe could rotate out. I think Mankio's been out injured or something, so he is apparently back for the Norwich game. My worry is we've put some graft in for the last couple of games, and we've come away with results, and it would be nice to sort of seal that deal, if you like, and get that extra win against Norwich. I wonder if we need some fresh legs in there, but it's hard to know who to drop without significantly weakening the side at the moment. And it kind of does still show that we're, maybe not as strong in the depth of our squad as we otherwise would like to be. And hopefully we will be next season. You could bring Murphy in, but you're dropping Almiron, and he certainly doesn't deserve it after this game. Bruno picks himself at the moment. He's just outstanding. Joe Linton potentially drop. I would maybe leave him on the bench just to give him a rest, because he did look like he went down with a knock a couple of times against Palace. And ASM, I mean, maybe he needs a rest. Rest him for this one and play him against Liverpool, and put someone else on that left wing as an attacker, maybe Murphy or something just on the left. It's hard to say, but whoever gets dropped, it will be harsh on, and I don't think you're replacing them with like for like. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. I personally feel that we do need to rotate the squad a little bit because of tiredness. Otherwise, it could catch up with us for Liverpool, and we'll end up getting an absolute shellacking. But let's see what happens. I'm not second guessing Eddie Howe at the moment. He knows best. He clearly does. So let's see what he goes with. Onto the Norwich side. Now, this to me, they've actually got a couple of decent players in that squad who have performed in the past, who just don't seem to be doing it at the moment. So what are you making of how they're going to line up? Do you think they're going to be any competition for us? Do you think that they're going to be still trying, or do you reckon their heads are going to drop at some point?
I don't think their heads will drop. I mean, they put in a good effort against Man United, Old Trafford. They came away with an unfortunate 3-2 loss. I think Ronaldo scored a wonder free kick to win that game. So they definitely haven't just given up. As long as they'll think they've mathematically got a chance, then they can still do it, albeit a very slim chance at that. What they've got there is a good squad of maybe just above championship quality players, but not quite Premier League quality players. And that's why they're a bit of a yo-yo team. Grant Hanley, we know obviously with his one season that he had with us in the championship. He didn't really play a lot of games for us. He was more of a squad rotation player.
Yeah.
But when again he was in there, he was decent. Tim Krul, obviously, he's been around the doors with us. He's a bit of a legend, I would say. He's one of the best goalkeepers we've had in modern times. And Pookie, he's their danger man, and he always seems to score against us.
Yeah.
He got a hat-trick against us at Carrow Road a few years ago. I think it was in Steve Bruce, his first or second game or something like it. And he absolutely annihilated Kraft in that game. Hopefully Kraft can get a bit of a revenge this time and just take him out of the game. Just mark him out. And the other one you've got there is that Lees Malou. He seems to be a bit unpredictable. He can have games up and down a bit like ASM. He can do the wonder pass. He can beat one or two players, and he can thread the ball. And when he's threading the balls quite well, Pookie's got the pace to get in and behind. And he's a very, very good finisher, to be honest. I'm surprised nobody else took him on when they went back down last season. So, they've got some threats, but they are also crazy weak in defense as well. hence their goal difference, which I think is minus 46 or something like that.
Yeah.
So if we've got any chance, it's going to be from getting the crosses in, because I think Chris Wood, he can give some damage with his aerial ability in there, and that's where I think the majority of the goals they've conceded have come from crosses coming in.
Yeah, it might be worthwhile playing some of the players like ISM and Wood, who are out of form, and seeing if they can bag a few goals against probably one of the worst defenses in the league. But we need to be on our game for Pookie, especially, as you said. Does like a goal against us. So our remaining fixtures, before we come back to our guesses for the game, I think it's going to be, but our tips for the game. These are our remaining fixtures. Obviously, we've got the Norwich game, but then we've got 3 tough ones. Home against Liverpool. Big shout out. We've got a meet up in Brisbane. If anyone is watching that from Brisbane, at the Pig and Whistle in the Riverside. We're going to watch that. We've got about 30 odd people coming along to see that. So, feel free to tag along. I think there are some meetups in Sydney and Melbourne as well. So have a check on the Aussie Mags Facebook page for that one, or get in touch with us. Then we've got Man City away. Those 2 games are going to be pretty tough. It is. I've seen people say that, we're in with like deciding where the title goes. It's like, yeah, realistically, we're probably going to get hammered off both of them, but let's be fair. And then Arsenal at home as our last home game of the season, which should be a great game. That is actually it was on my birthday, but it's been moved to the 18th of May now. So I'm still hoping for tickets. So if anyone does have tickets spare, please get in touch with me. And then finish off away to Burnley for the last game of the season. And we've already covered that we could be the ones to dictate who goes down out of Burnley and Everton, and that would be a real shame. So for the Norwich game, though, obviously I'm hoping that we don't lose, because typically every team that Norwich has beaten this season have sacked their manager. So I can't see that happening with us, but it would still be nice to kind of finish that off and get that mathematical safety in the bag. What's your tip for the game?
I'm going to go for a win. It's not very often we'll get a result down at Carrow Road. It's always a tough place for us to go. Let's say one of our bogey teams, one of our bogey grounds. But I think the way it's got to go, we've got to beat Norwich and Burnley. Southampton have got to beat Burnley, and then we are mathematically safe if that is the case. So just knowing that, and then when the final whistle goes, we've won the game, and then it's confirmed that Southampton will beat Burnley, then it's effectively party time. I know that we're safe now. We're not going to go down. No. But my prediction,
but it's nice to just have it.
It is, yeah. That confirmation, it's just it's fantastic. Got Premier League football for at least another season. Then the checkbook can start to open. We can start to look forward to next season, everything like that. And I think the players are going to want to give a good performance. The away fans will be in good voice as usual, always are when we're traveling large numbers. And I think it could be our last chance to potentially pick up 3 points this season, because we've got some very, very tough games. Burnley, we know they're going to go right down to the end of the season to whether they're going to still be in the division. Man City, Liverpool, they're fighting for the title. Arsenal, they're fighting for a Champions League spot. So there's everything to play for every team, bar Norwich, really, to be honest. And so that's where I'm hoping we can get our last win. One of our last wins anyway. We can pick up 3 points. I'm going to go with a 3-2 win, a high-scoring game.
Yep. I'm confident of a win, but that usually ends up in us losing. So I apologize in advance if they do. But I'm going for a 2-1 win. I do think we'll pick up 3 points in this one. I think the carrot in front of the players to actually finish the season off effectively and make sure that we're mathematically safe. I don't think Eddie Howe's going to let that one slip. I think he'll have them ready. And as you said, as we've said before, it's like all of the players seem to be playing for that shirt at the moment and playing for the chance to be here next season. So, no one's slacking off because they're all desperate to keep in with this sort of big program and the future plans that the owners are trying to put in. So that's been good. Thank you very much, Craig, for joining. And I have had a great time doing a review of a win. I think my last one was when we got hammered off Spurs, so that was not great. But yeah, thank you for everyone who's been watching and listening. If you've been tuning in on YouTube, please drop us a like, subscribe, tell your friends, spread the word, and drop your comments below. And if you are listening on Apple iTunes, leave us a review. And get in touch with us on Twitter and on our Facebook page, and check out our website as well. So we'll leave everything there, and hopefully come back, and we'll be doing a very good review of our safety being confirmed after the Norwich game. So thanks very much, everyone. Catch you later.